You're listening to Cinematic Adventures, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges? We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
You make me want to be a better man.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
He's looking at you, kid.
I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Would you be shocked if I put on something more comfortable?
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Adventures. If you're listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and basically anywhere else you listen to podcasts. You can also find us on our website, themisfitfaction.com, or on Facebook at Cinematic Adventures. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul, and with me, as always, is Shawn. Shawn, how are you today?
Always.
Always.
I'm always here, man.
You are always here, and you know what? That makes me feel better.
It does?
It does.
It doesn't look like it.
Well, you know, we're not doing video, so nobody knows that.
That's true.
I've actually been crying for the last 3 hours, and nobody notices.
I can never tell if you're crying or not.
I'm not crying. But anyway,
I'm good, though, by the way.
Oh, thank God. But we are here. We are finishing up our Star Wars month. And
this month went by fast.
This month did go by fast. And we want to also say very happy Memorial Day.
That's
for
true.
All you guys.
Everybody out there, have a safe and happy Memorial Day.
Don't wear masks. No, I'm just kidding. Wear masks. I don't know. What are the rules anymore? There are no rules.
Depends on where you are.
It really does depend on where you are.
Just be safe. That's all we ask.
Just be safe. And for some reason, we're still going to be releasing this episode on Memorial Day Monday.
Why not?
Why not? Exactly.
Listen to it when you're at the beach in the only nice day weather we're going to get this weekend.
Yeah, you see people just walking by and they're like, who are those two guys talking about movies? I want to listen to that podcast.
Yeah. And it's Paul, like, on the beach himself going like, hey guys, I found this really good podcast. You should listen to it.
Are you wearing a Misfit Faction shirt? Don't worry about it. But yeah, we are here.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Shameless. Are we shameless plugging ourselves on our own show? That's the point we've made it to. That is the point we've made it to. But we are going to be talking about a little lesser known movie. Now, as you guys know, Shawn and I, well, we're big fans of movies. One might even call us fanboys.
Interesting.
See what I did
See what
there?
you did there.
So when we were picking out our Star Wars month, we wanted to pick basically your typical month has 4 weeks in it. So we said, let's do the original trilogy. And what's a good movie to kind of segue out of?
It makes no sense to start off one of the other trilogies.
With only one.
With only one. We're not focusing on 3 movies in one episode.
Oh my God, that'd be a 2-hour episode at least.
Just be 2 hours of us having, complaining and all that. So.
Which is funny because you usually do not complain.
I do not. But we were like, do we do Rogue One? Do we talk about Solo? And neither of us were all that.
Yeah.
As much as Rogue One is a good movie, don't get me wrong.
It has grown on me.
It's a good movie. It's just, we're good.
Nah, so we decided to kind of look, and we wanted to do something a little bit off the beaten path because
the Star Wars Holiday Special. Here we go, folks.
You get out of my house. You leave right now. Star Wars Holiday Special. That's right out there with the Ewok Special. Oh my God!
I never saw the Ewok Special.
You know what? That's a good thing. That is a good thing.
Paul taped that when he was a kid. He would watch that constantly.
I would much rather have done the Star Wars or the Muppets episode with all the Star Wars characters.
Ooh, that would have
been fun.
That would have been a good one.
But we are talking about the 2008.
Well, it was filmed in like 2005, but it didn't get released until February of 2009.
Yeah, Fanboys.
This movie had a lot of issues. Is the wrong word. It just studio interference and just for some reason, and it just took 3+ years for it to make it to theaters. And when it made the theaters, when I say
17 theaters,
pretty much,
we had to actually drive like 40 minutes to go see it.
We did. We had to find a theater that just was one. There's always that one theater that plays relatively obscure movies, and that was the theater we found, and luckily we got to see this movie because we enjoy it.
Yeah, we definitely. This is a love letter. This is a love letter to fans and people like us, people who enjoy movies and are passionate about movies. And, the story also has a lot of emotion, a lot of heart to it.
Yeah.
It's horribly dated in some parts. Some of just the choice of vernacular.
Wow.
But you know what it is. But it's funny because we've been watching Friends in the house because the Friends reunion came out this week.
It did?
It did.
Oh, man. I would never have known that.
I know,
Thank
right?
you, Paul.
You're welcome. But as I was saying, it's weird watching Friends now, and you're like, wow.
Well, anything watching from the 90s, it's different. It's been 20 years.
But people listen to us, and we're from the 90s, and I think we're pretty politically correct and woke. Yo. No, nothing? All right. No, you can't even argue that one. But before we jump into our actual topic, we're going to do... Well, I mean, we're sitting. I'm sitting quite comfortably. Got my feet up and everything. By the way, new studio up and running.
Yes, we got our new conference table here. A little bigger, a little more professional looking.
For all you guys watching us right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We will do video again at some point.
At some point, when Paul just lost all interest right now.
It's not that I lost all interest. It's just that it took up a lot of time. But anyway, we're going to go over a little bit of news first before we jump in.
We do have some news. Again, the movie industry is still...
It's recovering.
It's still on the slow side, but there is news out there. The biggest news coming within the last 2 days is that Amazon has purchased a movie studio.
Yes, they have.
And that movie studio is Metro Goldwyn I can never say it. Metro Goldwyn Mayer.
There's a reason they just call it MGM.
MGM. But, I want to show respect to,
That lion.
That lion, Leo the Lion.
Oh my God, it had a name.
It did have a name, Leo the Lion.
Wow, even I learned something new today.
So it's basically the same deal when Disney got 20th Century Fox. Basically, you bought it to get the film library so you could just improve your streaming service.
And that is where we're at nowadays.
And that is what it is. I mean, it's good to see, but it also kind of just, in a way, you're never going to see, because I don't know if MGM's ever going to are they going to use the MGM branding, or are they just going to be an Amazon film?
Well, that's what everybody asks about Fox, but I'm pretty sure they're still showing 20th Century.
20th Century, they just got rid of the Fox.
Yeah,
So it's weird. I don't know, but I mean, in terms of a film library, I mean, if they do what, and get every single MGM movie onto Amazon Prime, wow, there's going to be some good movies on Prime.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, right off the bat, the one that they're promoting, obviously the biggest one here, is the James Bond franchise. What does that do for the future of the Bond franchise? Again, the Bond franchise has been run by one family since it began back 50 plus years ago. So I'm sure they'll be talking with Amazon, trying to figure out the plan for the future. But we obviously still have No Time to Die coming out.
I thought that was a statement. It didn't dawn. We haven't heard about this movie in forever.
Well, they haven't really bothered showing.
So I thought you were just telling me that we had no time.
We
to
have
die.
no time to die.
But, man, I was
so
like,
it's big news. $8.45 billion, and I mean that's where we are. But I mean, Peacock is Universal, Disney has Fox, now Amazon has MGM,
Sony has Spider-Man.
We'll see what other studios go down this road of being bought off.
And speaking of Sony and Spider-Man, a little bit of other news. They just cast Kraven the Hunter for a solo movie. I think they're doing.
I'm assuming they're sticking with this whole villains of Spider-Man to make their own movies.
Yeah, with Aaron Taylor Johnson of Quicksilver and Kick-Ass fame.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I really enjoy him.
He didn't want to be part of a franchise back in Avengers, but I guess now it's like, whatever.
It's amazing what money does.
It's also been, 2015, so it's been 8 years.
He's probably also kicking himself, too, a little bit. I mean,
maybe.
he's done other things. Like, he did Godzilla, he did all that stuff.
I wonder what would have been different, if they had kept him going.
How
much, he would have been involved.
Well, WandaVision wouldn't have ended with a boner joke.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that's fair. Come on.
I'm more talking about the movies. I could care less about WandaVision.
Did you finish WandaVision?
I did.
Did you not like WandaVision?
It was all right.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And speaking of TV shows that come from movies. Next month.
Nice segue.
Thank you, man. That's my third one. Next month, just we're going to announce it now. We'll remind you guys at the end. Next month's theme is going to be movie adaptations from television shows.
Yes.
I think we have about 4 that we're playing around with.
We have a couple we're still going back and forth on if that's something we want to do. But we pretty much have guaranteed that week 1 we're going to talk about the Brady Bunch. Because it not only is it it's with both of them, the Brady Bunch and A Very Brady Sequel, are both very funny movies. It takes a satirical look at the family, and it's in the way that Starsky and Hutch, did their movie adaptation, taking a dramatic, movie, a dramatic TV show, and making it a
buddy cop
slapstick buddy cop comedy. This movie's taking a relatively sweet, lovable comedy of a TV show, which had some poignant moments, and just making it just so ridiculous. But still lovable,
So I think for our goal for next month is going to be each movie is a different way to transition from a television show. So like you got the Brady Bunch where it's, well, we're going to take the show and just put it in modern times and let everybody interact with it. Or like if we did like a Starsky and Hutch, we'll do like, well, what if we change the genre completely?
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, Starsky and Hutch, or sometimes it doesn't work, Starsky and Hutch, and then sometimes it works, 21 Jump Street. 21 Jump Street was actually a relatively serious television show.
Yes,
but
it was.
The movie like literally attacked it.
It did, but which is funny because what's his name?
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill was a huge fan of the show, so
there is a lot of love to it.
There's love to it, and then of course you got the famous Johnny Depp cameo, which was, I remember everybody in the theater going, "Why is Johnny Depp in this movie?" And
But so I think next month should be a lot of fun.
It'll be fun.
We'll talk about, I think Lost in Space was one we were talking about.
The Fugitive.
Some of them are actually...
Addams Family.
It's funny because some of them people don't even realize were based off TV shows. Some of them were very successful. So, that's going to be a fun month. And maybe a couple of bonus episodes for any new movies that come out. Because I know right now we got in theaters is A Quiet Place Part 2, which I never saw the first one. I heard it was very good, though. Did you?
No.
No? Too loud for you?
No. Just... I'm very...
wishy-washy with horror.
But I hear it was excellent.
I heard it was very
good. It's basically after watching that movie, everybody wants John Krasinski and Emily Blunt to do Fantastic Four. That's the dream. Oh, that'd be good. But and then we have also Cruella just came out, but we stubbornly refused to pay $30 for Disney Premiere. If I'm gonna pay money, I'll go to the theater and watch it.
And then got a couple of other movies coming out down the pipeline. Apparently, In the Heights is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And
Manuel Miranda, man.
Yeah. And the new Fast and Furious is apparently getting great reviews too, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
God, I hope they end it soon. But anyway,
I don't know.
Hey, money talks, man. As long as there's money being made.
The thing about the Fast and the Furious films, that's an example of, you can tell just by watching the movie that they are having a blast.
Oh yeah,
with what they're doing. They're not just showing up for a paycheck. It doesn't hurt that they're getting paid very good money, but they are having fun.
Yeah,
and that's that's all you ask for.
And you know what? We go into those movies at this point just not caring.
Well, ever since, the last one with Paul Walker, that was like the first one where we're just like, okay, they don't care anymore.
Oh, 3 buildings we're going to drive this car through.
Those first 3, after they rebooted and just brought back the original cast, I thought those were fantastic movies.
I will still always justify my love for Tokyo Drift. It's one of those guilty pleasure movies, and the theme song.
Fair enough.
Theme song just bangs, man. It is so good. But we are going to jump into Fanboys. But first, we're going to take a quick break. So when we come back, we're going to break down the weird history of this movie and the entire plot synopsis. Because
did you know what's weird?
This movie?
The weird history.
Yeah, it is a weird history.
It's a weird history.
This is a very strange movie. But we're also going to break down the plot because I'm pretty sure we're one of 12 people that have actually seen the whole thing.
And we know like 3 other people, so...
They were with us at the theater. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by Rayz Energy Drinks. Rayz is a proud member of Rep Sports, and if you guys are looking for a little extra kick during your day, whether you need to tackle a workout or you need to get over that afternoon slump, you can always check out Rayz Energy, and if you get to checkout and you enter the code CINEMATIC, not only will you be getting a 15% discount, but you'll also be supporting the network. So that's Rayz Energy with Rep Sports. Code is CINEMATIC, CINEMATIC. Hello everyone, we are back and we are talking 2008's masterpiece. 2008's movie, Fanboys. Shawn, tell me a little bit about Fanboys.
What do you want to know?
Really? That's your reaction? Like, of all the... Tell me something funny about... I don't know. Tell me about the movie. I've seen it.
Well, where do you want me to go? You want me to go like production? You want me to go plot? What do you?
How about history? Let's start.
History.
Where did this movie come from?
It came from a camera.
Sometimes I actively hate you. Like,
I'm sorry. I don't know why. Like all of a sudden, I was just having a Roddy moment.
That was a Roddy moment. Oh God.
Oh, okay. Well, this movie has a interesting background, I guess is the word. So, as we said before, this movie was released early 2009. It was originally to be released back in 2007. So, by that logic means it was being filmed, probably like middle of 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's the reason why it took that long. A lot of issues. It was produced through the Weinstein Company, and they really wanted the movie to be one, type of film, and the director wanted it to be a different type of film.
And who is the director?
I just had his name up here. Kyle Newman,
mm-hmm.
who don't know much about. Don't know what else he's done.
Let's see. I have this very fancy computer.
He's directed a lot of music videos.
Yes, he has. Wow.
He was a producer behind the story of the greatest fan film ever made. That Raiders was like a shot-for-shot Raiders of the Lost Ark recreation by teenagers back in the 80s.
A lot of shorts, yeah.
So nothing. He hasn't done really much.
A couple of TV shows
since Fanboys. So this is probably like his most
fullest length movie.
Probably, yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
Thanks, man. I really worked hard on that one. So something I find interesting about this movie actually is it is one of the first known attempts to really fight against Harvey Weinstein. This was really before all the Me Too movement.
This is a decade before that all began.
But it's funny because apparently, so Harvey Weinstein saw the original cut of the movie and he was like, I don't like this. We want to make it a more family-friendly type film. So they cut out... So before we finish that, actually, let's say... So basically the general premise of this movie is a group of friends are attempting to see a copy of Star Wars Episode 1 before it comes out for their friend who has terminal cancer.
Yes.
So Harvey Weinstein wanted to make this a more fun, happy movie, so he wanted to take out the entire... cancer storyline. This movie went through reshoots with another director, like years after it finished. So there's like some notable times where the characters look a little bit older or different. Their hair's different. Like the main who's the main character? Eric.
Eric hair's Butler.
His hair is constantly changing throughout this entire movie.
It's true.
But then they also had some better news where like George Lucas saw an advanced screening and he loved it and he gave them permission to use sound effects and things from the Star Wars property, so they did reshoots with that. Reshoots aren't a bad thing.
No, but when you are, it's a bad thing, but sometimes you just get it wrong.
Yeah, but unfortunately nowadays, like, everybody hears reshoots, they're like, oh, there's something wrong with the movie. Movies always had reshoots. They were always a thing.
Yeah.
Just now with the ease of accessibility, people just find out about them a lot easier.
Well, funny fact, the guy who was brought in to do the reshoots was Stephen Brill, who was the writer of all three Mighty Ducks movies and was the director of Heavyweights.
We love Heavyweights.
We do love Heavyweights.
We got to do that movie at some point.
He also directed Little Nicky. Mr. Deeds.
Oh my God.
Your favorite, Without a Paddle.
I do love Without a Paddle.
And movie 43, which we'll just give him.
That's just that doesn't exist.
No.
The Citizen Kane of bad movies.
It's very true.
Yeah, but and then you also had Kevin Smith's on advanced copy, and
so, the Kevin Smith because this is 2006, so he's still not. What's the word I'm looking for? I mean, he's probably filming Clerks 2.
Yeah.
At this point,
so he's got some clout.
He's got clout, but it's not like this is in the middle of his View Askew, streak there with Mallrats, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Because there's a gap between Strike Back and Clerks 2. I mean, he gave us Jersey Girl.
We don't talk about Jersey.
So I mean, it's so he still had, because he's a very well known fan of Star Wars. So obviously, like George Lucas, he saw it advanced. Did he see the movie or did he read the script?
I think one of the two.
So he, got a cameo in the movie as well as Jason Mewes, and it's a funny cameo.
They were supposed to do a different thing. They were supposed to be two other. I think he was supposed to play Harry Knowles.
No, who's the guy from Lost? I read was supposed to play Harry Knowles.
That's a great
Jorge Garcia.
Oh yeah,
but he was doing something either with the show or
Kevin Smith stepped in after Jorge Garcia stepped out.
Okay.
And was reportedly very enthusiastic, but some last-minute editing for Clerks 2 forced him to step down.
Gotcha. And then they got Ethan Suplee, another Kevin Smith.
Here's a fun fact: the van is named Bucephalus. And that's the name of Alexander the Great's horse.
There you go.
All right, but before we get too far into some fun facts and trivia,
do you want to go over the plot?
Let's do the cast first.
We can do the cast first.
Because this is a pretty stacked cast.
For 2006, this is mainly unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
But, now looking back on it, there's some the big one who at the time was probably not big, but Kristen Bell. Because this is pre Veronica Mars, which was her big TV show. And obviously now she's huge for playing, I can never remember her name in the Frozen movies.
Elsa.
No.
Anna.
One of those two.
Franz.
So
Sven.
This was one of her first movies. You have Jay Baruchel, if I'm saying that right. Baruchel. Dan Fogler. Sam Huntington of Jungle to Jungle fame.
All the movies.
I love that movie. I'm sorry.
Jimmy Olsen.
Come on. Who wants to be remembered as Jimmy Olsen in the Bryan Singer Superman Returns movie?
I think he went home and he was really proud of himself.
I'm not saying he's not proud of himself.
All right, keep going.
Chris Marquette.
Who we loved in The Girl
Next Door. Remember him from Up and Away?
Oh, yeah.
He was the best friend in Up and Away. That was the first thing I ever saw him in. And then you have your cameos. Basically, everybody who was funny and famous at the time. You have... Ethan Suplee as Harry Knowles. Seth Rogen, who, again, this is, I want to say, pre-Knocked Up. So, I mean, he's not the huge star yet that he became. You have Craig Robinson, Danny McBride, Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes. And then you have some more serious Will Forte. And then you have some great other cameos by Carrie Fisher,
Jason Mewes, Kevin Smith, Jamie King, Danny McBride, Ray Park, Craig Robinson.
I just said all those names.
I know. I'm just going down the list now because I really wasn't paying attention.
Oh, thanks.
Joe Latruglio, Lou Taylor Pucci, Will Forte. I didn't even hear you say that. And William Shatner.
No,
that wasn't it. Love you.
You missed one.
Who'd I miss?
Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams, yes. Well, he actually got in the cast list.
Yeah, and then we also have Christopher McDonald as father of Big Chuck.
I love this movie.
Do you?
Did you say Danny Trejo?
I don't know. I could have. But...
when I'm editing, I'll just re-listen and be like, I knew all these things. I knew every single one of them. Did you?
Did I?
Who's that?
Great episode, man. We're doing good here.
Oh, no, we're killing it. We are killing it. Ironically, I was off today, so I don't know.
I think that's the problem.
All right, so you want to start going through the plot?
I guess.
Am
I going to say the plot and then you're going to repeat it?
Maybe. I mean, if we need to pad the time out.
That's true. It's a stretch.
Yeah. Can we talk about the soundtrack in this movie?
Oh, well, it's Rush.
It also starts off with
that was the key. I mean, you want to know you're in the 90s, you play Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba. I mean, that I remember we were in the theater and that song came out. We just both looked at each other like, we like this movie already. There you go. But yeah, so I mean, the movie starts off in 1998 at a Halloween party where Eric Butler, who is Sam Huntington, is reunited with his old high school buddies, Linus, Hutch, Windows, and Zoe. Mm-hmm. Did they ever really say how long it's been since they graduated high school? I never caught that.
3 years.
3 years, so they're
about 21-ish.
21. Eric is now a car salesman at his father's dealership, so he has really kind of fallen off the grid from his other friends who have continued to basically be comic book fans, Star Wars fans, and Butler's like, you gotta live in the real world, guys.
Well, you got Hutch, Windows, and and Zoe all work at a comic book store.
Comic book store.
They never say if they own it or not.
Yeah, it's kind of to me, it's implied that they like somehow, run it. But
they definitely run it. But I think they might even own it.
Maybe.
But Hutch is living in his mom's garage.
Carriage house.
It's a carriage house. And Linus, we don't really find out what Linus is doing at this point.
You don't really find out at all ever what Linus is doing. Mm-hmm. You just,
So basically, it's very cliche. It's the movie trope where like the one friend who's matured and moved on and become an adult.
So they're at the party. They're kind of they're talking. It looks like they're having a good time.
Night of drinking.
And one of the beep like a pager or like a timer goes off, and it's like 6 months until Phantom Menace comes out. And it just immediately like makes Butler annoyed, and he's just like, God, you guys got to just like,
So, what happens is they're all drinking, and Linus starts saying, we could go see the movie tonight, right now. And they talk about their childhood, dream adventure was to storm Skywalker Ranch and steal a copy of it.
Which I don't understand because, I mean,
I think at one point when they were young, they just wanted to go to Skywalker Ranch.
They just wanted to go to Skywalker Ranch. Now it's just like, okay, now we have a reason to go to Skywalker Ranch.
I want to go to Skywalker Ranch.
I wouldn't mind.
Also, we find out that Windows is in an online relationship with a young lady named Rogue Leader.
Rogue Leader.
Because he's trying to find the modem port for his computer, his tough book. So they all kind of like leave, and they're all annoyed because Eric's kind of the killjoy of the party.
Pretty much, because again, he notices them,
being
fanboys about a movie, and he just is like,
"What's that like?
What's that like, guys? I gotta go to work."
Yep. So the next day, you see that Eric's kind of the number 2-ish guy at
behind his brother.
Yeah, and at the car dealership, and Hutch and Windows show up to meet him, and they tell him that Linus has cancer, and he's got about 6 months left to live. So the reason they tell him that is so he can make his peace with him, because they used to be best friends. They haven't spoken in a few years, so they want to have him get that catharsis. Which, this movie took a left turn out of nowhere.
I mean, to start off the movie like that right off the bat, and it immediately gives you obviously the plot right there. It's like, we're doing this for him, this way he can see this movie because, he's most likely not going to be able to see it.
So he goes to the carriage house, quote unquote, that night to meet them. But they're all playing Mario Kart and teaming up against Windows, which is just perfect. Like this movie, we recently rewatched it so that we can kind of just, because it's been a while. It's funny, I still have the Blockbuster exclusive DVD.
You do?
It says it on there. It's like a little piece of history right there. But it immediately brought us back to like we still play Mario Kart during a night of drinking. Like, why not? But so Eric shows up, and Linus is immediately like
annoyed.
He's like, well, what is he doing here? And it was Hutch's idea. But so they go outside to talk, and Linus is like bailing on him, and he's they start arguing, and eventually it culminates into an argument that nerds have had for many years about whether or not Leia really had a thing for Luke. And it is one of the best dialogue exchanges ever. Because it shows that Eric is still a bit of a nerd.
Oh, yeah.
And it also shows Just this is things that you and I argue about, like things that like our group of friends argue about, all these like silly movie type things. It's just
they were siblings.
Siblings, you sick bastard. It's so good. It's so much fun, and it adds a sense of real, because this movie does go off the rails in terms of realism.
Yeah, it has its stupid moments, but there are some good, moments where you're just like, okay, this hit it on the head.
So yeah, I mean, I can't even talk about how much I love this movie. So
well, you are talking about how much you love this movie.
I know, and that makes it even better. So Eric goes back to the car dealership, and his dad tells him he's going to take over for him. Like, he's going to give him all like 12 locations or whatever it is, and gives him his cowboy hat, and also Norm Macdonald's doing
Christopher McDonald.
Him too. Sorry. Christopher McDonald's also doing a lot of tanning in this movie. Yeah. He's very tan in this movie. But we also find out that Eric is an artist. He wanted to draw comics. That was his big
thing back when he was younger.
Yeah, and he's still very talented.
And that's one of Linus's fights with him that night. Was like, what happened to you, man? You could have gone places.
Yeah.
And he's like, I had to grow up.
Yeah, I had to get a job. I don't want to live in my parents' garage. It's a carriage house. So, but he also does decide. I feel like there was something missing in between these scenes, because suddenly he's in the full cowboy outfit, when they're in Linus's bedroom.
Oh.
But first he goes to the comic book store where they all work, and we have Zoe lifting up her shirt. A little bit of sexual harassment in this movie. Not excessive, but enough to be concerned. But because Hutch is trying to do the Jedi mind trick.
Yes.
Much like Silent Bob.
Been trying that since they were in high school.
Yeah. So Eric shows up. We do also find out the rivalry between Star Wars fans and Star Trek fans.
How much for the phaser?
Apparently there was an animated prequel that came out that shows how they got that phaser.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they apparently keep a phaser on display to suss out the Trekkies. Trekker is... Oh, God. But we keep getting ahead of ourselves. But so he decides that they are going to do this plan for Linus. And he's got a whole map. It's colored with Star Wars stuff and all that. So they all go to Linus's house to convince him to go. And after some coaxing, because apparently Windows' online girlfriend, Rogue Leader, knows people who know people in the Lucas camp, and she actually gets them blueprints of the entire layout.
Yes.
And that's what convinces them to actually take that ride. So they all
hop in
Hutch's his van, the Buse, which is it's still the coolest van.
Oh yeah.
And we learn a couple of rules. Number 1, it's rush all the time. A lot of rush in this movie. Number 2, do not press the red button. And number 3, no jerking it in the van. Those are the rules of Hutch's van. So they begin their trek, as it were. Yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that one. And while they're sleeping, Hutch decides to take a detour. And they go to Iowa, the future birthplace of one Captain James T. Kirk.
Enemy territory.
Nice. So they go to, it's like a local kind of presentation of Star Trek, because I'm sure they have it in there. Now, here are some fun facts about it. Number 1, Seth Rogen plays the main Star Trek commander. Number 2, they make a comment about how the statues don't look at the actual actors.
Yeah.
And
due to the
whores at Viacom.
Whores at Viacom.
But that's also why none of the Star Trek uniforms are actually legitimate Star Trek uniforms. Because they tried to use actual Star Trek uniforms, and the whores at Viacom threatened to sue if they did. So if you watch this movie, all the Star Trek costumes are not right.
No.
No, not
at all.
Which makes it even better. But they do end up having a giant fight with Admiral Seesholtz. That's his actual name. I don't think they ever say it.
No.
But it is a fun little fight scene where Windows tries to yell out "time out" several times. They end up destroying the statue because he calls Han Solo a bitch.
Con!
Inhaler. And then he finishes yelling. Con! So as they're going and celebrating, they blow out a tire.
Aww.
And they don't have a spare tire because Windows needed to bring his grappling hook. Because they were on a covert mission, and when you
can't be on a covert mission without a grappling hook.
It's, you know what? I won't even argue that. That is
grappling hook. That's come in handy.
Yeah. So they managed to stumble upon a biker bar, And when they ask for a drink of water for Linus, because, you know, he is sick, like, he's got months to live, they try to charge them $100 for that. And, of course, we find out that Hutch is... Hutch. A little bit of a hothead. Tries to pick a fight with the bikers, but his vernacular chosen was not ideal for the situation that they were in. Because we also find out that this is a gay biker bar. Because this is early 2000s.
Well,
so they
late 90s.
Well, it takes place in the late 90s, but the movie's early 2000s.
Movie's early 2000s.
So that's where we are at that time. But, so they have to do a striptease to pay for their drink to Menudo.
You want us to strip to Menudo?
You got a problem with Menudo?
No, I'm good.
So they all start stripping. I remember this from the trailer, too.
Oh, yeah.
So they start stripping, and Hutch decides to go full nude. And apparently he's missing a testicle due to a lightsaber incident as a child. I have so many questions, but I don't want a single answer. So then we have the chief who appears and saves them, basically.
Pretty much. Danny Trejo.
And they have a lovely night of drugs and imaginary Ewoks and dream sequences where
Christopher McDonald.
That one was on purpose. I literally was making so much eye contact with you. Christopher McDonald is, you know, Darth Vader, and they cut off his hand, like the whole nine. But they wake up, and the chief has fixed the van, and he gives Linus a giant bag of peyote because he knows that he's sick, to help him, you know, to ease the pains. Yeah. So in Texas, they finally arrive, and Windows, who is dressed as white chocolate, that's his screen name apparently. He refers to himself as a white Billy D.
Takes off his glasses and is like squinting. He can't see.
So he goes into a coffee shop named
Java the Hutt,
which apparently was in Veronica Mars.
Yes.
So we find out that Rogue Leader is actually a 10-year-old girl who's the niece of Harry Knowles, very famous at that time for the website Ain't It Cool News. Very, very big in the geek community at the time. So he ends up beating the crap out of Windows. And I remember this from the trailer too. Harry Knowles is kicking Windows' ass. So they explain to Harry what their plan is, and he's like, that's the dumbest thing I've heard since Schumacher put nips on Batman. Great line. And he gives them the Star Wars quiz to make sure that they're actually fanboys.
He gave some easy ones there. I mean, the one at the end, the last one is, I didn't know. I knew that one. But like, what was Luke's call sign? I'm like,
Red 5.
Red 5. I wasn't worried about you.
Irvin Kershner. Yeah. There was some easy. There was one more. Irvin Kershner, and then the speeder bike one.
Speeder bike, yep.
So he decides to help them, and he says, I'm going to give you the password for my contact in Vegas. His name, you know, the password's Scruffy Nerf Herder. So they're on their way to Vegas, and they're pissed off at Eric because he's like, I need to go home. Like, I have work in like a day. I don't really think he planned out this 3-day trip.
Well, he didn't intend to divert to Iowa.
And now to Vegas.
Yeah.
So they, on the way there, they're speeding, because that's how it goes, and a police officer tries to pull them over.
Probably not a good time to know I have a whole bag of peyote in the back. What?
So
the chief gave it to me.
That's great.
And then we see what happens
when you press the red button.
Press the red button. And I honestly, this might be the scene I laughed the most at.
Oh, you were dying.
I love this
because even better, there's so much Star Wars goodness in it too.
Yeah.
Like he goes to press the red button because he says it's light speed, and you know it doesn't work. So Eric's like, light speed, impressive, like line for line.
Yeah.
And then finally, what is he? He hits the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Like Back to the Future style.
And then
it activates and they go flying away.
And then R2 is actually on the truck. He puts R2 on it like it's Red 5, and R2 is full.
And that was from George Lucas. He gave them all these sound effects.
The truck is going like 100 miles an hour down the road. Yep. And you hear R2, D2's like squealing.
Well, it's even better because they do a shot where it's just the roadway.
Yeah.
And then the van comes into frame, flies through, and you just hear R2 screaming.
And then it crashes into a billboard, and of course it makes out the
Darth Vader
Darth Vader silhouette with it, the brake lights being Darth Vader's eyes, and then the breathing, and it's
perfect.
It's great. It really is. But it's hilarious. It really was.
So they get arrested for fleeing the police and possession of the peyote, but Zoe arrives to bail them out, and she says, I'm going to come with you guys because I just flew here, took a bus, did all this stuff.
You're not going to talk about the ham sandwich on the toilet?
Okay, well, they're in jail. Hutch has to use the bathroom in front of them and uses a ham sandwich to cover the seat. It's disgusting, and Shawn's giggling like a 5-year-old right now. I'm just going to keep talking while he composes himself.
What are you doing with that ham sandwich, boy?
That ain't right what you're doing with that ham sandwich. But the judge wants to see them first, and the reason he vacates the charges is because the judge has spoken to Eric's father, and who relays a message for him to come home.
They shouldn't make fun of the judge's name.
Judge Reinhold, played by Billy D. Williams.
I think it would have been even funnier if they actually got Judge Reinhold to be Judge Reinhold.
Oh, that would have been great.
Nothing against Billy D. Williams. I love Billy D. Williams, but I feel like they could have found a better cameo for him somewhere else and actually gotten Judge Reinhold to do that.
Oh yeah,
I would have
been really good.
I think that would have been a lot better.
But anyway, so they have this really nice moment where one of my favorite lines is, so they're trying to cheer Eric up, and he says, "You got to find your Death Star, man." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean? I'll bite." And Hutch explains to him, the greatest thing that Luke Skywalker ever did was destroying the Death Star. So everybody in life needs to find that moment. It's a really, I just hit the microphone. It's a really just great and poignant scene and very powerful moment in this comedy movie.
Yeah.
So they all end up in Vegas where the group separates. We have Linus and Bottler have to go meet the contact.
Well, they're all supposed to meet the contact.
They all, but they don't.
They decide to go early, and the others are going to be like, yeah, we'll meet you down there.
Whereas Hutch, Windows, and Zoe decide to go play, or they decide to go gamble.
Gamble.
And we also find out that Zoe's got the hots for Windows. I mean, with that George Lucas hairdo, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? But Windows and Hutch actually end up flirting with some young ladies and appear to be making very successful moves, where they offer to buy him a drink, and they say yes, and they abandon Zoe, who gets pissed. And we have probably my favorite scene in the entire movie. We have Bottler and Linus meet the contact at a Star Trek convention taking place there.
Oh.
Yeah. And the contact is the one and only William Shatner, who gives them everything, fake security badges, like the whole nine. And
how'd you get all this?
And the book Trekking with TJ. It is.
I'm William Shatner. I can score anything.
What about 10,000 Shares of Priceline?
Anything.
It's just such a great, because they also, it's William Shatner, and even though they're Star Wars fans, they still geek out a little bit. They're
absolutely.
Like, it's just great. But so Windows and Hutch bring the ladies up to their hotel room. Windows is confessing like all of his feelings and how he feels, and
it's the
yeah.
She's the one that's like, I think she likes you.
Yeah. Whereas Hutch is talking about how he's a fancy CEO with multi-billion-dollar company, and just talking up. And then he finally manages to use the Jedi mind trick on this young woman to get her to take her clothes off. At this time, Windows also finds out that both those ladies are escorts. Yeah, and they are currently being charged $1,000 an hour. Yeah, and when they refuse to pay,
up comes the pimp,
Roach, played by Seth Rogen. So Seth Rogen actually has two roles in this movie. Oh, we forgot to mention that at the Star Trek convention, Seth Rogen's character, the Star Trek character,
reappears.
Yeah. So Roach comes up, and apparently he's a big Star Wars fan, and he's got a giant tattoo of Jar Jar Binks on his back. Shawn, how do you feel about Jar Jar Binks?
I'm indifferent. I don't hate the character, but I don't have a general love for the character either.
That's funny, because nobody really does. So, yeah.
Missy Scusi.
Yeah, you stop that. You stop that right now.
All right, Mr. Annie.
So they knock out Roach and run out of the hotel room.
Yeah.
Grab Zoe, and they continue running while Roach regains consciousness and chases after them.
At the same time, Bottler and Linus are being chased by the Star Trek.
So it's Seth Rogen on both sides.
Pretty much. That's a lot of Seth Rogen.
And so they all meet in the middle, and they... they're like, you destroyed Khan. And he goes, you called Han Solo a bitch. And Roach actually comes to their defense and starts beating up all the nerds while they make their escape.
Yeah.
So they get in the van. They deal with Roach for a little bit more longer, but they manage to get away. But they realize that Linus fell out of the van.
Or never made it into the van.
Or never made it in and collapsed in the parking lot. And they take him to the hospital. So at the hospital, the doctor, played by Carrie Fisher, says
this trip is over, guys.
He needs to go home. And they have a great moment where, they're all talking about how much Star Wars has impacted their lives and how powerful it was, naming their hands Leia and wearing a bucket on their head to be Darth Vader. So they're still inspired to continue this mission. And the doctor gives Linus pills. And he's like, I think it was like, take 3 of these every 2 hours or something crazy like that. And he kisses her, and they're all like, and he says, I love you. And she says, I know. Just perfect. So they finally make it to the Skywalker Ranch, and they have the great scene of them all walking into Rush.
Oh.
Tom Sawyer. Can't beat Tom Sawyer. And
then you get we're going to need a grappling hook?
So you have Linus climbing over a 6-foot wall with the grappling hook and just falling, and he gets tangled. It's very entertaining. And then he throws it back over, and you don't see it, but you just hear clank, ow. So they make it in, and they make it to basically like the display room where they have all the props and everything, but they find out they don't realize that they're being watched on security cameras by the guards. And
fun fact, the guards in this movie are made to look like characters from Lucas's first movie, THX 1138.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a good little nod right there.
So the guards confront them, and the main guard is played by
Craig Robinson.
Well, no, you're this one, the main guard here.
Oh, that one is Ray Park.
Ray Park. Oh man, still one of the best things about the prequels.
Does his double?
He takes out the two
lightsabers, and
time for you to get mauled, boy. So they capture Zoe, and that's when Windows is like, I'm gonna defend Zoe, and then they all run away because why not? So the chase breaks out. They manage to get to the cafeteria and go down the garbage chute. We are in George Lucas's trash compactor, and they hear a noise and they all freak out. They're like trying to fortify the walls, and Zoe points out that it is actually just the air conditioning vent and the exit's right here. Yeah, it's still perfect. And then you hear Dan Foley go, 3PO, we're all right. So they continue running, and they eventually make it into George Lucas's actual office, where they are about to...
Literally, it's on his computer, like, oh, episode 1.
And ironically, the background is the same as the tattoo that Roach had with Jar Jar Binks doing the gangster pose. So as they actually start the movie, the guards confront them again, and this time it's Craig Robinson and...
Will Forte.
What a comedic duo. But I really enjoyed the two of them.
All right.
And this, Craig Robinson, Hot Tub Time Machine is always still... And also Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's fantastic on that show.
He's on Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Recurring character.
Oh, okay.
But plays Doug Judy. That's his name. And they get into a back... Well, also, first Windows confesses his love for Zoe in one of the worstly delivered lines ever. That hooker in Vegas gave me something. She's like, what? He's like, the truth. Oh. That he's in love. Yeah, not. So they end up getting into a prop destroying contest. Because as they're being captured, Linus picks up the Millennium Falcon. And they're like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm feeling crazy, man. If you don't let us go, I'm going to smash this into a million pieces.
It doesn't...
Will Forte grabs the Yoda puppet. I was always
So-
more of a Star Trek fan anyway.
Oh,
Damn,
they're
Trekkies
everywhere.
are everywhere. But then the rest of the guards come in, and they're all captured, and they're basically put into a little lockup room with a conference table, and now they deal with the big boss, Danny McBride.
That's the big boss. There's a problem.
Yeah. So Danny McBride gets a call from George Lucas himself, and George Lucas conveys that if they can prove that they're all fanboys...
You don't actually hear George Lucas. You just assume it's George Lucas.
No, he says it. He says, hello, Mr. Lucas.
No, I know, but you don't actually... It's not like you get a George Lucas, on the phone or anything like that. It's just, he's saying...
That would have been nice.
That would have been amazing.
Crazy.
But
that's like Steven Spielberg and Paul.
Something like that.
That would have
cool.
been... So they have to get another quiz where basically it's just asking them Star Wars questions and excessively sexual questions. Which
that none of them can answer except for Zoe.
Except for Zoe. And apparently Mississippi handbag is not a real thing. No. On Urban Dictionary, it actually says made up for the movie Fanboys. Dead serious.
Really?
Dead serious. But, yeah. So they let them all go with the exception of Linus, who's allowed to actually watch the movie.
Yes.
Because they do have files on all these guys, including Hutchinson.
I love that. It's like you're a giant Rush. How do you know that? You're wearing a Rush shirt, you idiot.
And we have dossiers on all of you. All right, that makes sense. But so he's allowed to see the movie, and they all wait outside. And when he comes out, they ask, "How was it?" And he just calls shotgun, or in their case, they say Chewie, and they leave. So they're all camping out, and Eric's doodling, and Linus comes up to him, and they really have their cathartic moment. They have that, I'm really sorry about how I was for the past couple of years, and Linus says, he's like, you got to keep the flaws, the crappy effects, real puppets. That's what makes something special. It's not it's never about the movie. It was about getting us all together. And so Eric leaves him to contemplate, and the movie cuts now to the premiere of Star Wars. Linus has passed away, which I respect this movie for sticking by it.
Oh yeah.
They could have easily been like, oh, he's in remission or this or that. It was a ballsy move. Apparently, there was a deleted scene where he throws the pills off a cliff base to show that he resigned to his fate. Much because he talks about Darth Vader not being afraid in the eyes of death when they're inside the Lucas vault. So it cuts to the premiere of Episode 1. They're all camping out. Eric is now a comic book artist. He has a series called Rush, which is based on all of them. Hutch has the garage, which is called the Hutch Touch, and he's actually calling it the garage now. Windows and Zoe are dating, and even Butler's douchebag brother shows up and not only defends Eric, but also is like, come on, man, it's Star Wars.
It's the wars, man.
It's the wars.
I love the wars.
Because at the beginning of the movie, he is viciously making fun of all of them.
Oh, yeah.
For being such nerds.
That's what I love about you.
Yeah. So they arrive at the theater. They're all taking their seats. They all have beers, which is fantastic.
Cheers for Linus.
They cheers to Linus.
And then I think one of the best lines, Butler turns to everybody and goes, hey, guys, what if this movie sucks?
And they all just stop, and the movie just ends.
And I thought that was great.
This movie, if you are a Star Wars fan, and or even nowadays, if you're a fan of anything,
I'll be shocked. If you are a Star Wars fan and you don't like this movie, I would love to talk to you and be like, explain.
Yes.
Because to me, if you're a Star Wars fan, this is a love letter. And there's nothing in this that, I would be unhappy with. Like, what could you not like about this movie? Again, we're not saying this movie is God's gift to cinema. It's not. It's a low budget teen comedy that has a good, heartfelt, plot line to it that could have gone the direction and almost did go in the direction of just stupid teen comedy, but it had that, that motivation to it where that was a little more serious. Again, as we talked about earlier, Harvey Weinstein was like, I don't like this storyline. Let's just make it a bunch of friends or like, hey, let's get drunk and let's go break into the Skywalker Ranch. You don't want to root for them.
Yeah, then they're just criminals.
Well, it's not. It's just stupid. You have, by keeping the cancer storyline in there, you give these characters motivation into why they're doing what they're doing. They're doing it for a good cause. And yes, there are some funny adventures on the way.
Yeah.
So it is a teen comedy, but it has that, that level to it some movies need.
This is a movie for Star Wars fans by Star Wars fans.
Yes.
And with a lot of heart and a lot of themes of friendship, and even like the characters are all based off Star Wars characters. Like Linus is modeled a little bit after Obi-Wan, where he does pass away during the and it's his death that motivates Luke Skywalker, or in this case Eric Butler, to accept his fate. Windows is definitely C-3PO/R2-D2, Zoe's Princess Leia, and Hutch is Han Solo. Like, these characters, they have when they were writing this movie, unfortunately you get a lot of times, and that's why we wanted to do our next month being the TV to movie adaptations, because a lot of times you get these adaptations that don't understand the material that they're sourcing.
Yeah.
This is a perfect example of a movie that, hey, we love Star Wars. Like, let's make a movie about our love for Star Wars. And that's really what this movie is. And for us, like me and Shawn, who are doing podcasts about movies, and I've been to Comic-Con.
I've been to Comic-Con.
Shawn's been to Comic-Con. We didn't go together because, we were taking a break at that time.
Yeah, pretty much.
like this kind of movie is why we love cinema. And Star Wars is one of those franchises. I think between me and Shawn, I'm definitely a little bit more of the fanboy of it. Like, I knew Kashyyyk was Chewie's home planet, but like at the same time, Shawn loves movies. I love movies. To have a movie like this that the characters kind of speak to us, like we could see ourselves doing something like this, or at least wanting to. I don't think we'd actually do it.
Nah, I don't think we'd do it either.
But this movie is, like none of the nerds are like super jacked. None of them are exceptional people in any way, shape, or form. They're all just kind of very normal people. And I think for at least for me, I don't want to speak for Shawn, but at least for me, it makes it so much more relatable.
Totally agree.
Oh my God.
No, you're right. I mean, it what's the word? It is a relatable movie because it is something that, we ourselves would love to do. I'd love to go on a road trip to California and
oh my God, yes.
Go see the Skywalker Ranch and maybe not break into it, but that would definitely be an adventure and I would love to do that.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much going to wrap us up, though. You want to do Star City rating for Fanboys?
Ooh, alrighty then. I'm going to give it a solid 2.5.
A completely average movie.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. In terms of actual production and quality, I'll give it a 2.5. But in terms of just how much I enjoy this movie, I'm definitely going to say 3, maybe even 3.5. Just because this is a movie that if it's ever, because it's also there's something about the rarity of this movie.
Because you can't find it anywhere.
It's
never on TV.
Never on TV.
It was impossible to find when it was out on DVD because it was only sold at Blockbuster. Well, no, let me rephrase that. It was only you could only rent it at Blockbuster. You could buy it other places, but in terms of renting, you were only able to rent it at Blockbuster.
And this was still when movie rentals were the thing.
Oh, this was right at the beginning of this was near the end of Blockbuster, Hollywood Video. But this was at the very beginning of Redbox, and Netflix was just hitting its stride with the mailing rentals. So yeah, no, this was I remember when this got released because again, I think Blockbuster had a special deal with the Weinstein company where like they had exclusivity.
Now nobody wants that deal.
Well, no, nobody.
But that's gonna lead us up to Fan Feedback Friday.
Fan feedback.
I love me some fan feedback.
You do love
Friday.
yourself some fan feedback.
We have some fun with this one. So today's
you
question,
picked an interesting one. That was
I thought it was perfect considering we were going to do the TV adaptations and movie adaptations next month.
Yeah.
So the question was: the keys are in the ignition. You can only take one. Which one would you take? And their following vehicles were presented: the Dukes of Hazzard, Back to the Future, Knight Rider, Starsky and Hutch, James Bond, Mad Max, Ghostbusters, The A-Team, Miami Vice, and Magnum P.I. So we got a fair amount of, and I also put if there was anything missing to.
Especially the Batmobile.
I know. I was kind of
There's
surprised.
no Batmobile on there, but definitely.
So I am not going to say the names of who.
Don't you say the names?
I never say the names.
Why did you say that name,
Martha? But anyway, we have. Let's see. From the list, Miami Vice, Missing, Baby from Supernatural. If you guys are Supernatural fans, that was...
I wonder who wrote that one.
67 Chevy Impala. The Aston Martin from James Bond. Yeah. Knight Rider, assuming kit comes with the car. Yeah,
I hope so.
Obviously the DeLorean, as long as it came with a fully functional flux capacitor that didn't just run on plutonium or lightning. Oh, God. She's the best. Herbie the Love Bug.
Oh, there you
which
go.
Which was not on the list.
There you go.
And Ghostbusters, the Ecto-1. Just can't go wrong. I
gotta go. I gotta say I gotta go DeLorean.
You gotta go the DeLorean?
I gotta go DeLorean. I would love to go time traveling in that thing. You kidding?
Yeah, we'd ruin everything.
I'd be very careful.
I'd invest in Amazon and Bitcoin. Yeah, just
Lugal.
Get some Lugal going. Can't wait to do time travel month. That'll be fun. But I think that is going to wrap.
You think?
Why are you gonna be like?
Just you said you think, so I was just like, you think?
You just have to stop me right in the middle of my thought. But that's going to wrap us up for tonight. Don't forget, guys, if you're looking to interact with us a little bit more, you can always find us at our website, themisfitfaction.com. We have links to all of our podcasts, all of our material. It's all on that. So the more people we get to the site, the the better it does with us. So we love having you guys interact with us in any way. There's a suggestion page on there because I know we would love to hear what kind of things would you guys like to hear more of. Do you guys want to do more theme months? Do you guys want us to do short movie reviews now that movies are coming out? Longer episodes, shorter episodes, more episodes a week? The best way to let us know is either through our website or on Facebook. You can always get in touch with us. And if there are things you want, tell us. We want to do more. We want to be...
What do you want?
Was that a movie quote? Or
I don't know.
No, it's just...
What do you want?
Well, I'm kind of hungry. You want to go get a burger after this?
Not really.
I didn't think so. But so you can also find us on any place you listen to podcasts. Now, if you guys are listening to us on Podbean or Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anything like that, leaving us reviews is very helpful. It puts us higher up on their list, so that way their algorithm shows us to more people. So if you guys... Oh, yeah, the whole thing. So if you guys are listening to us on the go, please share us with your friends, leave stars, leave reviews. All that stuff really helps out the network. And obviously, we still have our promotion with Rayz Energy, which if you enter the code Cinematic, you'll get 15% off any of your purchase there. I just bought $100 worth of products, and I'm loving it so far. But really worth it, and it's really helpful for us. So we want to thank you guys for all your love and support. Fun fact, I didn't tell Shawn this. He doesn't even know this. Last week's episode actually downloaded the Multiverse Fancast for its first week for the first time ever. So really big.
Wow, guys, here we go.
I know it's a little bit of
battle begins.
Battle Royale, but you guys have been great. We're having a blast, and we're gonna do even more content over the summer. So the more suggestions we get, the more episodes you get. But that's going to wrap us up for tonight. As always, I'm Paul.
And I'm Shawn.
And we'll be back next week for our TV movie adaptation month.
Happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Bye.